Dude gets a freaking $20 AMC subscription, thinks he's a damn movie critic now.
They're not called movies. They're called. I I always talk about the
Oh,
misses
they're
when they're not called.
films. They're a film
They're
critic
film.
now.
They're called films. They're not called movies. They're called films.
Ugh.
Just rated the Truman Show 5 stars on them. So go check me out on Letterboxd. From the top rope to your collection, this collective of 1, 2, 3 presented by Cardboard Dugout. I'm your host, Moon 3PO, and this is my tag team partner, Bropio, coming back with another episode. We're
Ow!
on a little break. But we're officially back. We're going to talk all about it here before we dive into wrestling and the wrestling card hobby, as we love to say it here. But before we dive all into that, Bropio, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good. Yeah, we've been gone for a long time. I think like 3 weeks probably now. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe I think the last time we did it, we were previewing Clash in Italy, and that feels like it was ages ago. But yeah, stuff has happened since then, so I think we have quite a bit to catch up on.
Yes, yeah. I was explaining to Mrs. Moon about the last time we recorded. Yeah. The last time we got an episode recorded here was on May 29th. That was the last episode that we officially uploaded to the feed. So if you're wondering where we were at, we took a little bit of a break. You specifically took a little bit more of a break than myself. My
Yeah,
friend.
because I think after the that that celebrate well, my oldest, it feels weird even calling her that. My oldest child turned 5. So the week before her birthday, we celebrated at the house, had a little festivities. Then we traveled to Orlando, Florida, went to Disney World for the first time, which dude, that place is, I still got the Disney blues. I've been back for like 2 to 3 weeks already, and I still find myself like waking up here in the I see I wake up in my eyes and I see the green little flashlight Mickey Mouse is like chime green. I'm like, oh yes, I'm there. Or the unlimited Diet Coke I was able to get at the resort, or the hotel pizza, which I think you saw if you saw my Instagram post. Yes, I was out there celebrating. Came back. You definitely need a vacation from a vacation. So yeah, it's just been
Disney.
wild, man. Yeah. Felt like the feet were throbbing for quite a bit, but yeah, kind of was that. So even with all that, like, I didn't really pay attention to wrestling. Wrestling was like totally like the last thing probably on my mind. On top of it not really being that good, that I think we've talked about for a while. But so I missed a lot of I missed a lot of Friday night SmackDowns. I missed some live Raws. I had to, yeah, from what I know. I missed some Monday Night Raws. I had to go back and watch it. And some of them were starting earlier than because they've been overseas. Time also got occupied by the Spurs playoff run to the finals, which that's all I'll talk about that. That's the end of that story. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, just a lot of other stuff going on in life that just didn't evolve around wrestling. Kind of was a fresh breath air, kind of detox in a way where we just kind of got away from the wrestling a little bit. Didn't participate in too many breaks. If I did, I was like little one here and but yeah, that's where I've been. I know you got to do a video on your TikTok saying where you've been and what you've been busy with, but I did not do that. It's a video I've done on my TikTok on my Disney trip, which if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a good tearjerker. So
it is a tearjerker. It even hit me and it feels a little. It even hit me and it feels a little bit. I think kind of seeing her progression, I think, is like kind of what hits it a little bit. Like kind of seeing like how like she's doing different things, and she's obviously getting much older now. So like her just seeing her like interact with the cards and obviously being into like the Disney stuff, it was like that hit the feels a little bit.
Yeah.
Which obviously I was like obviously in my head being going to Disney a handful of times now at this point, more than a handful of times at this point. I was like, all right, I know he's gonna come back. He's gonna need a vacation from the vacation, and the Disney bug is really real. So like, all right, I'm gonna let it simmer for a little bit. I'm not gonna pressure on doing a podcast. And again, like you just hit the nail there. Like there wasn't really anything noteworthy to like again come back on the pod and like we need to do this and do that in the third. Now I feel like there is obviously we have Night of Champions this Saturday in Saudi Arabia. There's been some things on the hobby side that obviously we could talk about. So I was like, okay, now this feels like a good time to come back in. As far as on my end, yes, I did make a little bit of a TikTok kind of explain where I was at. And yeah, again, kind of echo a little bit of the same thing that you said. The product hasn't really been that good. So it's kind of hard to make a video or make series of videos about something that you're really not into at this time. Um, so that was kind of the stem of that. And yeah, just got busy with other things. Obviously, yes, obviously participate in the family events. My wife is finally off of work. So obviously want to spend as much time with her before her schedule gets a little bit more hectic. Then the week that you were gone, I was like, okay, maybe that'll be a week I can just kind of do a solo pod like I did before. But that week was preparing for the vendor show. And that took a little bit more than expected just because we changed some things with the show. We changed some things with the showcase. We were buying a lot more, so we're just kind of preparing for that. In the middle of that week, I ripped a Topps Cosmic Chrome hobby box. I was like, okay, that will fill out the video there. So yeah, I just had a lot of different things kind of just going on. And again, like you mentioned, Spurs stuff. I'm not the biggest Spurs fan, obviously. Again, still participating in those events. And yeah, I just had a lot of family events. Even my wife's side here, Mrs. Moon, she had birthdays on her family side. So doing all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, it was a good way to detox for a little bit. Because again, like you just mentioned, the wrestling community, wrestling area, the wrestling genre in general can be toxic, as Kate Wilson
Yeah.
would say. So it's good to kind of just step away a little bit, kind of just watch from the background, see what people are doing, and then obviously we could love to come back here on the pod. So yeah, I thought it was a good week here to come back on, which is why, again, guys, I highly advocate that you guys follow us over on our social media so you guys know what we're doing, where we're at. Because if you just follow the podcast or just on the feeds channels, or you just follow me or subscribe on YouTube, you're like, well, where the hell has he been? He's uploading videos, but he's not uploading a podcast. So that's where we've been. Or yeah, I also forgot to mention did a vendor POV video that took an hour to like upload, render, get all that stuff. So I did do that as well. So yeah, there are a lot of different content going around, and obviously.
And for the people who have seen the POV, if you're wondering where was I was actually flying back. That way of we were coming back in from Disney, and yeah, it's just impossible. Which, if you're actually funny enough, my youngest makes video, which I thought was funny.
Yeah,
it was funny too, because I think after I watched the video, I don't remember when I watched, but I did when I watched it. I saw him. I was like, "Hey, dude!" I was like, "You're a YouTube star, just like me."
I got some clips of that I cut up that I gotta send you. There's a clip of him absolutely face eating. He didn't cry or anything, but there's a clip of him running behind the table and he just falls down.
God.
I'm like,
yeah,
like, hey man, you want to be behind this table? I'm gonna tell your dad to send me my Cash App tag and he can.
He's he's climbing on stuff, throwing stuff all over the place, just falling all over. This guy's a handful, but yeah,
he's a menace. He's on a different level. I don't even remember the other one being like that at that age.
I don't think so. She was very I don't know what's the word, like dainty, like very careful, I want to say.
Yeah,
that's the word.
Still is. Yeah,
still is. I think probably more now than ever, but not like him, man. He's a little daredevil.
Yeah, little Jeff Hardy in him, jumping off things, grabbing things. Yeah, little Jeff Hardy in him. So he'll be fun once he gets older, joining in on the wrestling talks there. But yeah, that's where we've been. So again, guys, highly advocate that you guys follow us over on our social media, so you guys are keeping up to date where we're at. We upload almost every day on all the platforms. So yeah, if you again want to stay tuned up to date, what we're doing, what we're uploading, what we're talking about, go follow us over there. But now let's head into wrestling here. Let's head into a little bit of wrestle talk, obviously, before we head into the hobby. Obviously, the last couple of weeks here that we were gone, this was leading up to the king and queen of the ring. I know, again, it's a little bit tough, again, on your end to watch, again, the start time. You were traveling. Even on my end, these Raws and SmackDowns were airing when I was at work. So trying to piece them together as much as possible. But obviously, there's one gray area on the women's side that we'll talk about a little bit more once we actually get to the Night of Champions. But the overall style of the tournament, what did you think about it? Because I know when we first saw the bracket, it was one of those things where we thought they were all single matches, but then it turned out that it was ended up being fatal four ways. So from there, that's where we're like, well, why are they fatal four-way matches? Like, they're going away from the traditional single matches, but then going to fatal four ways, and then having, Finn being on the SmackDown side, and then having to explain that he was traded. And then obviously the biggest question here, biggest gray area out of all this is Liv Morgan, who's your women's world champion, being obviously being a part of this tournament and now in the finalists in this tournament. What has been the overall thoughts on this tournament, booking wise, participants, Were you impressed by it? Because in my opinion, I think from what I can remember, booking wise and just again the configuration of this tournament, probably one of the worst in a long time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the fatal four way like qualification thing. I'm with you. I remember when they first released the graphic. If I'm not mistaken, the graphic was released on the post show of Clash in Italy.
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken. So I do remember seeing it, and I remember seeing this large bracket, and I'm like, oh hell yeah! I was like, we're gonna get like some crazy like one-on-one matches. I remember looking at it, and at the time it looked like Lyra was gonna go like one-on-one with Silver Rook, and like damn, I was like, that's gonna be a crazy match. Like, which funny enough, they did have a pretty much of a banger match a couple weeks later on Raw.
yeah.
So shout out to that. Which shout out to Lyra. I think she I don't want to get there anyways. So I'll save that take for another day. But um yeah, so when I thought that, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like we're gonna have a lot of matches to go for it. And then we later found out, like once we are actually able to see the graphic, that you found out that now there were fatal four ways. And I think if you want to, if going back to that, those matches, I'm like, well, that's even dumber. And I think it's just like a creative thing. Like I think if you listen to JD from NY, if you listen to him, like his reasoning, and it makes sense. Like WWE's PLEs are so crammed up that they don't have time to make this long, luscious like bracket that we want, where you can have one-on-one matches throughout the night or however long you want to drag it out. Like they just can't because their stuff is so crammed. So they have to do fatal four-way matches to the point where once you're out of the fatal four-way, all you have is just like one more match and then you're in the finals. So yeah, not a fan of that. I wish they would go back to the way it was, which I can't even remember when was the last time they did single matches. I'd have to go back and look, honestly. But yeah, not a fan of that because I think once you even get out of the fatal four way matches, whoever the winners of those are, if you look at the remaining brackets, you can kind of tell who's gonna win out of their brackets, and
Yeah.
that makes it not really fun in a way. And I know we're gonna get a little bit more into it once we do our predictions for the finals of the King and Queen of the Ring. But yeah, even just like again with the book decision, like to have Liv Morgan in there, like that just tells me you'd had nothing for Liv coming out of WrestleMania. Like she's had no title defenses, um, even wrestling. So I don't know if she was hurt. Maybe that was another case where she was hurt. They didn't know if she was gonna be out, so they didn't want to put her anything. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird to have her into the finals, and I don't know. Like, will she lose to Joe? Are we really gonna run back her and Rhea again? And we've just finished. I mean, people were just complaining about this a year ago when the Netflix
Yeah.
premiere.
The Netflix, yeah.
So, like, are we really gonna run this back already? When people were clamoring, have they retired about their year-long rivalry? So, I don't know, man. It's interesting, but not a fan of it. Don't have to find a fatal four-way. Let's bring back single matches. Let's get it right. Come on.
Yeah, and like the fatal four way matches. Don't get me wrong; they were great matches. Like they were like all of them were good. I can't think of a bad fatal four way match that I saw. But yeah, like again, it just came one of those things where like we thought we were gonna get something, we got something completely different. And I think it kind of just led on to a disappointment with the overall tournament in general. And then obviously we'll talk about in a short few minutes here, the people who are in the finals for those both the men's and the women's, and um a little bit how disappointing those. I don't want to say maybe specifically one that being Oba, but like Jey Uso being in the finals, you hit the nail with Liv Morgan being in there. Like, are they really in the spots to be in the finals? I think it's definitely a lot of question mark. If you ask me, when I first saw the bracket, I thought the writing on the wall was Seth Rollins will be the one to come out
That's the way
victorious out of
they.
this.
Yeah.
And then from there, if you're doing the single matches and they could have had the do this bracket, like you could have had your Seth and Braun Breaker round 3 right there. Like that's your match right there. And then go have Seth win King of the Ring. Then obviously go face Roman Reigns at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight title. Like your story was right there. Now it just feels like there's a lot of different question marks, and I don't think they're good question marks. There's there's good question marks as far as like speculation, like, oh, this is kind of exciting, but in this case here, I don't think these are very exciting question marks to have when you're about a month away from SummerSlam. But I feel like that's a perfect leadway here to the Night of Champions here. Night of Champions here officially being this Saturday. It is in Saudi Arabia, which does mean that it is a special start time. Does it start at 1 our time, Central Standard, or the 12?
I think it's 12. I think it's 1 Eastern. if I'm not mistaken.
1 Eastern, right? 12 Central
12
Standard Time.
Central. Yeah.
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 So
10
just do
morning,
keep
I
that in
think,
mind.
if you live on the West Coast, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So
Damn.
good morning to you.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning to you. So do keep that in mind if you're trying to watch live Night of Champions. I just realized I might not even watch this live just because I might be at the card show. I just thought about that. So TBD if I'll be watching this live or catching a potential replay. Of course, this match here, even though it is Night of Champions, we only have 3 single title defenses here, which I want to play or not play a little fun game, but kind of just show the difference here. I took a random card from Night of Champions and see if you can guess the year. So we have Jericho going against Legacy for the Tag Team Unified WWE Tag Team Championships. We had Christian going against Tommy Dreamer for the ECW Championship. We had Kofi Kingston.
Like 2011.
You're gonna go. That's your answer. Or you want to go through the final card? Because there's maybe one main event. There's a main event in here that might spoil it.
Are you going? I think it's like a 2011, 2012.
We got Kofi Kingston, MVP, The Miz, Carlito, Primo, and Jack Swagger in a 6-pack for the United States Championship. We had Michelle McCool going against Melina for the Women's Championship.
WWE Hall of Famer
Michelle McCool. She lets her know in every Tom Scrum autograph. We had Randy Orton, Triple H, and John Cena in a triple threat for the WWE Championship. We had Mickie James and Maurice for the Divas Championship. We then had Rey Mysterio and Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. And your main event was Jeff Hardy and CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship.
2009?
What year? Yeah, there you go. 2009. Yeah. There you go. So compare that card, Night of Champions, where you can hear every single title that was involved on that card or on television on that time being compared here to a 6-match card when only 3 title defenses. I think it comes like we need to rename this pay-per-view, call it King of the Ring, call it something else, because this is not Night of Champions.
Shout out to freaking Paul Levesque, though. We got a 6 PLE card, man. Shout him out.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So you got to tip your cap. We got one extra match. So we got to tip your cap when it's due. But we only got 6 matches, 3 only are title defenses here. And we'll just go off here one-on-one. Since we talked so much here about the Queen and King of the Rings here, we'll kick off there. Let's start off here with Jey Uso versus Oba Femi. Now, there is a lot of discourse. There is a lot of ways that you can go. Obviously, I think a lot of implication is on the main event as well. What I think is the main event, the triple threat match. If Gunther is the one that comes out victorious, which I think he right now is the betting favorite, do you do Jey Uso 2.0? Because it's been talked about on Raw, like he's not going to go after Roman, obviously, that's with the bloodline being back. Like, do you run back Gunther and Jey Uso again, which I know that will be highly favored by the IWC, or do you give the ball to Oba and let him run again like he's been running for the last couple of months now? But obviously the implication there and the question mark is Brock Lesnar. Will Brock Lesnar somehow be involved in this? Obviously, the rumor has been Brock and Oba at SummerSlam Part 3. I thought about, and I honestly didn't think about this until another content creator by the name of Dante Toro brought this here. Maybe have Oba run a night 1 and night 2. Have night 1 be Brock Lesnar, have night 2 be Roman. Like, what's more dominant than that? That is something you can go. And I say that because I do think Oba Femi will be the one to come out victorious and thus challenging Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. I've talked about it earlier, or talked about it in other videos, and talking about it with other people. Like, realistically, besides CM Punk, who would be the one to defeat Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight title? I really don't think you got nobody right now, minus from CM Punk. And I know the rumor is right now that CM Punk is scheduled to go to SmackDown as much as they need help. So I don't think he will be back on the Raw brand. Because that circles back, and obviously we'll dive a little bit more into that towards the main event. But I don't think there's another guy to beat Roman Reigns and or challenge Roman Reigns. You thought you had it with Jacob Fatu, and he fell twice. So I don't realistically don't think there's another name other than Oba Femi. So with that alone, I do have Oba Femi becoming victorious, thus becoming King of the Ring.
Yeah, I mean, people can saying like, oh, it's too early to put the world heavyweight title on him, blah blah blah. But I mean, he's like so over. I mean, we got the Oba Strut walk cam on Netflix and stuff like that. But I hope you're right. I honestly I think they're gonna run with Jey Uso winning the King of the Ring and ultimately facing whoever champion be for SmackDown. Which obviously once we get to that match, you'll hear my prediction for that. But yeah, I think it's going to be Jey Uso. I think they're honestly going to run the Brock Ola 3 at SummerSlam. It kind of just seems where it's headed. And I was kind of, well, I wasn't 100% sold on the match. Not that I don't want to see it, but like I didn't think it was going to happen. But what changed my mind, and I don't know if you noticed it, but like on Monday when Oba was in his promo, he said like, I slayed the beast. And can you really slay the beast if you're one-on-one? So in my head, like if you want to slay the beast, you got to go at him again. And what's one way to go at him again? Get have him cost you, your chance at a title shot at SummerSlam. So, with that kind of trickling in the back of my mind, I was like, well, I think for the then, I think the King of the Ring is going to go to Jey Uso, which it's unfortunate, not unfortunate, but I do love him. It's just, I don't know, man. He's a little wonky sometimes, and it's just sometimes I feel like the character doesn't his character doesn't like meet the way he acts like enough. I'm tired of like the running it back thing. Like if he wants to be like somebody who's like dominant or like wants to be taken seriously, like doing this is like it's not helping. It's more of like leaning. I don't want to say leaning towards the children, but like it's more like, oh, I'm the baby face and I want everybody to like get hyped up and get crazy. Which I mean, more to you, like you don't see Cody running it back, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Like I know he has his 2 pyros and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever seen Cody do anything like that. So I think that's why he gets a bad mark on the internet. That on top of his promos are sometimes not that great.
This is your warning shot.
Yeah, I mean that's new. See, like that doesn't scream babyface. That screams heel, and a heel is not gonna be running it back trying to make sure the crowd's having a good time. Like that's what I mean. Like stuff is not like matching, and so I mean I commend him for trying something new. But if I go that out, like we need to get away from this Yeetian stuff. Which I mean I had a blast with it. I have the shirt. When Saturday main event in our town. My daughter was doing it. We have it recorded on video. She loves it. And so stuff like that. So I can see how it's good, getting the crowd interacted. But when you're going to be, throwing gunshots at me, it's not screaming baby face. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be him. And I do see him challenge him out for the undisputed WWE title. So, yeah.
Usually, I hope you're never wrong with your takes because usually we kind of agree on the same thing. But if there's one that I'm picking that you hope you're wrong, I hope it's this one because, I just I don't hate Jey Uso as much as like the internet does. I think some of it is a little bit unwarranted, but yeah, it's a lot of the character stuff that I just don't buy into. The Yeeting stuff, again, it's cool. I was doing it at WrestleMania. I get all that, but yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't want to say I'm over it, but it's kind of run its course a little bit. So like you mentioned, if you're doing, you're being Crash Out Jay, but you're still running the bag, you're doing the Yeeting stuff. Like I think there needs to be a side. Be Crash Out Jay, who's unpredictable and does crazy shit. You can't even Roman can't control him. Do all that. Like buy into all that. She trying to control up or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just very off and on with him. And it's just what's made it really hard to buy into him, into his stock, into his character and stuff like that. So yeah, if there's one I hope you're wrong on, I hope it's this one. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how it all plays out. Next up here, going off to the Queen of the Ring, we got Io Sky versus Liv Morgan. Again, I love Liv Morgan. Think she's obviously there's not any bad words I'm gonna talk about Liv Morgan. Not even talking bad about her music video or her song that has grown on me. But why the hell is she in this tournament? And why the hell is she in this finals? Like, it does not make any sense. And like you mentioned during the beginning or the middle of the podcast, like it obviously just shows they had nothing for her. Like after like the rumor is that Stephanie is supposed to run it back with her, but Stephanie's off the shelf, is on the shelf with injuries, and like you couldn't pivot, like you can't like feed her, like you couldn't give her EO earlier. Like it makes no sense as far as of the lack of storytelling, the lack of build, the lack of everything. It's not just her; it's everybody in general. Like it's just mind-boggling how she's in this position. Are they gonna have a banger match? For sure. But the fact that she's in this position is absolutely insane. So with that, I would hope Io Sky, and that would be my pick to come out victorious. But the thing with that is, like, I don't think Io is gonna pick Rhea. Like, obviously they have their friendship. Rio. She's not gonna go to SmackDown and go challenge Rhea. So like, are we gonna run this match back at SummerSlam again? Like, are we really gonna do that? How does this match end? Obviously, there's been a lot of Judgment Day implication with the women itself. We kind of saw a little bit more this past week on Monday, where she was telling Raquel to actually, you want to dive back a little bit further, kind of the deep breath that she had before she went to go try to flirt with Danhausen when Raquel lost.
Yeah.
Olivia, chabu, before she did all that, the little the little exo that she had when Raquel lost. And then like this past week on Monday, kind of telling Raquel, like, hey, like there's the women IC title, like go after her. And then telling Roxanne Perez, like, oh, like I'm sorry, like we really don't have like anything for you. And I think
Gotta
people
get
I don't
JD
want
in
to say,
medical.
yeah, and then JD's in the medical. So like, and I don't want to say people forgot about this, but I think it's kind of part of the story that's gone now because he's on SmackDown. But Roxanne wasn't brought into the Judgment Day by Liv or by Dom or by JD
It's by
or by Raquel.
Finn.
It was brought by Finn
Yeah.
Balor. Unfortunately, that story can't unravel anymore because Finn's now on SmackDown for whatever goddamn reason. Excuse my French. They said it was for a trade or whatever, which I think he needed. Obviously, they needed to separate themselves from that Judgment Day stuff, which good for him. But that piece of that story is missing. So they have to find a way to kind of get that back into it, which I think they're finally showing. So like, does a Judgment Day implosion happen here? Does it happen at SummerSlam? I don't know. But with all that, I do have Io Sky winning. Maybe it's a lack of Judgment Day help, and maybe that leads to SummerSlam. Maybe the implosion happens there. Like, hey, like where the hell were you guys? I needed help and you weren't there. I don't know. Maybe Rhea does come out and insists it's Io. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, I do hope Io Sky comes out victorious for this one, and we'll get Io and Liv round 2 again for the World Women's Championship at SummerSlam. But yeah, I have Io Sky winning the Queen of the Ring, and she can finally complete her emo. I think the emo's like so funny when she just like loses the thing, it just puts it on her head, or like fakes puts it on her head. So she can finally complete her emote and get the actual crown on her head and becoming Queen of the Ring.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's got to be Io in this scenario. Because yeah, I don't see them having Liv win and then automatically now it's renewing the rivalry with Rhea. I don't see that happening. So yeah, it's got to be Io. And honestly, dude, I would not be mad if we get another Io Rhea match at SummerSlam. I mean, that alone would be pretty dope. So I don't know, maybe we'll see some like Judgment Day in the King at Night of Champions that causes Liv to lose, and maybe we'll see like a Judgment Day between her, Raquel, and Roxy for the women's world title. Why not at SummerSlam? I don't know. Give me something different.
That.
And then have Io and have a friendly competition match with the undisputed title, and obviously we can. It trickles back to the story like Rhea's like, hey, I've never beaten you. Like, give me this opportunity to defend my title against you one more time and prove that I can beat you. I mean, I'm all for it, man.
Some friendly banter.
Yeah, those are usually sometimes some of the better matches, and then the fact that there's no Money in the Bank implications. So there's Naomi was a like a footnote, but I mean, obviously that match was interfered by her. So with there being no chance of interference and like that, I mean, who knows what we can get? But yeah, I'm gonna go with Io as well on this one.
Yeah, and like it even brings up the point, like if Liv wins, like at that point, then are they going to like unify the titles? Like if Rhea wins, are the titles unified, or like what exactly happens with that? So I think
she'd probably just hold them separate. Yeah, unless they call her the women's undisputed. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of complications if Liv was to come out victorious for this. So hopefully they can see that and just have Io come out victorious with this one. Um, Keeping it on here with the non-title matches, we do got Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins in a steel cage match, which is being hyped up as hopefully their last match. Not saying they've had some bad matches, but I do think these guys need to end this feud and kind of go off on their own little separate ways here. Obviously, this little feud here is set up 1-1. Braun Breaker taking the first one, Seth Rollins taking the second one. So this obviously is the final draw here, I would hope. This one here, I would have Braun Breaker coming out victorious with this one. It is a steel cage match, so as you like to say, Bro Peel, some foolery can be happening here. We obviously know Logan Paul's on the show, but he still has been showing up on Raw, which is very surprising. You know, could have taken his ball home in rehab, but you know, still showing up on Raw. So that's obviously something that can happen there with steel cage. Austin Theory being involved. Maybe Bronson Reed comes back. I think last time I heard he's cleared, if I'm not mistaken, or close to being cleared. So maybe that's a thing. Obviously, Paul Heyman being involved, like it doesn't take that hard to like close the door on Seth, whatever. I know Jesse the Body Ventura would absolutely hate to see Seth Rollins escaping or trying to escape through the door.
You gotta climb the gate, man.
That's the thing. But yeah, this one here, I would have Braun Breaker taking this one. I think he needs the feud overhead as far as coming out victorious. And I think Seth Rollins, again, being in a steel cage, having that foolery, he's one of those guys where he could take a loss. And because of that foolery, wouldn't really hurt his stock too much. I feel like we'll hurt a little bit more of Braun Breaker if he was to lose, even with all the foolery. If there is any potential foolery, which it's steel cage match, there's going to be foolery. But yeah, this one here, I would have Braun Breaker coming out victorious with this one.
Ooh, yeah, man, this one's a 50-50. I really can't. I don't know. This one's tricky because I feel like if you, I guess storyline progression wise and like end of the storyline too, like who would hurt the most if they lost? And I think that's the Vision. Like if Vision loses to Seth Rollins, like obviously like the guy who created it, beats you, and therefore, I don't know, like no longer tag team champions anymore either. So at that point, let's kind of like disband. And I don't think they're gonna go that route. I think a win over Seth Rollins is a good way to probably also kind of to write him out a little bit if you want to, give him the break. Because who knows, like if he was there really fully 100% at WrestleMania and so forth like that, and having all these matches. So if you want to go ahead and maybe write him off a little bit of TV for a couple of weeks and maybe bring him back, before SummerSlam or after SummerSlam. I don't think he would miss SummerSlam, especially if we get 2 nights. So, or I don't know. Maybe this isn't the end of the storyline. Maybe somewhere down the line, one of these guys has another title match, maybe Seth will cost him, and then they finish at SummerSlam. I don't know, but I think there is a loss for the Vision would hurt them more than I think with death, like you said. So I think for that reason, I think Braun's going to come out on top.
Yeah, and you could obviously, like you mentioned, they're no longer being tag team champions. Like maybe the Street Profits, maybe cost them. Maybe there's still some foolery with that. I know they've had their little bit of some run-ins here and there, and obviously Montez helping that, but still having that thing with Angelo Dawkins. So maybe that's the thing. Who knows? But yeah, I think if there's going to be one to come out that will benefit more from a victory, I think it definitely would be Braun Breaker. Now, to finally head to what this pay-per-view is called, Night of Champions, let's head to some championship matches. We got Trick Williams and his Lemon Pepper Steppers going against Ricky Saints for the U.S. title. Now, obviously, if you guys have been listening to the pod, you guys know that I am a big Ricky Saints guy. I have been since his AEW days when he was Ricky Starks. So I do love me seeing some Ricky Saints here being involved in
really quickly. You're gonna have to do me a favor because I missed a lot of SmackDown and I didn't. Usually, I'll try to go back and watch like highlights and stuff like that. How the heck does SmackDown even come about? Like, that's what I'm so curious to know.
So I first started off with Carmelo. Ricky and Carmelo had their match. Carmelo won like in a I don't want to say like a heelish way, but you can kind of make the argument that it was like a cheap win or whatever. Thus led to Carmelo trying to go against Trick Williams. Then Ricky Saints was like, no, it's me. And then Ricky Saints beat Carmelo for a number 1 contender title shot. Which is part of my theory, which is part of my reasoning here, because as much as I do love Ricky Saints and love him being involved, and in the title picture, the mid-card title picture, I obviously do not see him coming out victorious with this one. Trick Williams again is still red hot, and I do think if there is going to be a title change, it is going to be involving Carmelo Hayes. It would not surprise me if there is a triple threat match between them three. Hell, if you want to get a little bit crazier, maybe even throw in Ilya Dragunov, making a fatal 4-way if he was to ever come back. But yeah, this one here, I don't see a world where Ricky Saints will pin Trick Williams right now, maybe down the line. And again, that's where you can throw in Carmelo and, have, Ricky pin Carmelo or Carmelo pin Ricky, vice versa. Find a way to get the belt off Trick if you were to go that route, which I don't think they would right now. I think it's still a little bit too early because what would you have Trick do? But yeah, this one here, I would have Trick Williams still retaining the United States Championship.
Is Little Yachty still around? I haven't really watched, so I have
Who?
no idea. Little Yachty?
Yeah, he's still around. He's been walking around with him.
Oh my
God.
God.
I think I've read too that he's been kind of like training a little bit too. I think they said like he's like,
oh man,
again throwing shots at our good old pal Travis Scott, that he's been around, he's been traveling, and he's been training and like working out and stuff like that. I think Yachty said like it's like one of the hardest things he's did or something like that. I think it was like a video of him like running the ropes or something. I could be wrong, but I could have swore I thought I read something like that. But yeah, he's still been around. He's been throwing around the money. He has like a bedazzled cane now. So yeah, he's still around.
Shout out Yachty. Friend of the pod. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with you on this one. I think Trick retaining. I'm pretty interested to watch this one because I'm very familiar. Like I saw a lot of their NXT matches, Ricky Saints and Trick. They had a lot of good battles over the NXT championship. Back when Ricky was champion, vice versa with Trick. So cool to see them running it back already on the main card. So if you're not familiar with the NXT matches, hopefully they get the time they deserve for this match because I think probably a really good one. But with that, I like the idea of a multi-man United States title match at SummerSlam. I mean, there's 2 nights now, so we're gonna need quite a bit of matches. So for that reason, yeah, I'm going with Trick. I think it's to take the so.
And I have one request for this match. Saudi crowd, please take a look at your counterparts, because the international crowd was actually reacting to Ricky's entrance and doing the dun, dun, dun,
I was going to ask you how is I know the first few weeks when he came out it looked good and I was getting a little worried, and then I think I remember watching, I don't know where they were at, but the crowd looked a little bit more in tune with it. It may have been an international crowd.
Yeah, it was an international crowd. They finally the little section on the bottom started doing it. So if there's one request, if you're listening to this podcast and you're in Saudi Arabia and you're going to Night of Champions, I have one request. Just react to the theme song. Just do the dun, 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 dun. That's all I ask. He can lose, he can do whatever. Just please react to the entrance so the U.S. crowds can finally learn how to do the entrance. I was doing that shit back in NXT when we saw my deadline. So please, please,
come on now.
That's my one request. Again, maybe I'm a little bit more biased because I have a little bit of a Ricky Saints collection going on right now. So maybe I am a little bit biased. But hey, come on, guys, let's get with the program here. But let's stick with the U.S. Women's Championship here, or stick with the U.S. title, I should say, and let's transition to the women's.
This is another one you're gonna have to into. All these girls were fighting for the women's title at WrestleMania, and now they're fighting for the United States title.
So right. we do got Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. If I'm being completely honest, this is where I was kind of kind of tuning out a little bit because I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, again, I like Tiffany. I've
off topic, but have you seen the spoilers for Friday?
Blake Monroe, right? That you're referring to?
Well, that no, there's another spoiler.
Oh, BFAB, right?
Yeah. I don't know when this pod outside if you wanted to drop it or not. So
yes, no. This pod will be out on Friday, so spoiler alert. But yeah, I did see that.
If you don't want a spoiler, jump a minute or two, because yeah.
Yeah, there's not really much I can write home about this match, but yeah, BFAB getting a pinfall over Tiffany Stratton is a little bit of some crazy work, I would say. I don't know why my brain
I did see that Blake Monroe. I did see that she I think she went after Julia, if I'm not mistaken, so that's gonna be pretty interesting. Because they did not.
Yeah.
I don't know if they fought in Stardom.
I believe they I don't know actually about that. I'll have to double check that.
Because I know Blake made some references to, unless they I don't talk about that later. This is totally off subject, but yeah, back to Tiffany and Jade Fargo for the U.S. title. Let's go.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be able to help you there because I again was talking about it. Like I like Tiffany, I really do, but it's again like the in-ring stuff hasn't really been that good since she's came back. I haven't really been a fan of the reign so far. I think Blake Monroe is going to be the one to hopefully save this reign. And when she beats, I would think she'll be the one to beat Tiffany for it. Maybe SummerSlam if you want to just give her the rocket right away, which I don't know if Julia is the thing. I don't know what they're going to do with that yet. But yeah, I think if there's going to be someone to defeat Tiffany for the belt, it is going to be Blake Monroe. So with that, I wouldn't even have Jade Cargill coming out victorious at this one. I do like Jade. The work has improved. She had a good fit. She had a good match being a part of the Queen of the Ring and during the Fatal 4-Way. And again, we talked about her match with Rhea at WrestleMania and talked about the 6 moments that they had against Alexa Bliss and Rhea. I believe at Castle Italy or whatever PLE that was.
Yeah, that was.
So, I
I
mean,
think when we did, was that no? It was a Saturday Night's Main Event.
Saturday's main event.
It was
Yes,
Saturday
yes,
Main
you are
Event.
correct.
I
Yes.
remember coming on here and we were praising it because that match was fun to watch. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
so I was
that
like,
one.
yeah, the in-ring work has improved tremendously for her. Meech and
Yeah,
BFAB.
we even gave Eachin and BFAB their flowers too that day. I remember.
Yeah. We gave them the flowers real quick, and I was about to like.
I will say
that's
though, I don't know if you noticed, but not if you noticed, but Meachin was on Jimmy McMahon's podcast, and I thought that was pretty not interesting, but like I feel like they would only bring on like say I'm trying to be like nice about it, not like trying to sound like an asshole. Like because I don't hate Meachin, like I really don't, but like they would I feel like they wouldn't just bring on anybody, like any wrestler.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Does that
I
make
agree.
sense?
Yeah.
Like so the fact that they have like Meachin on there, I think says something about what they see here in her or and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like
So
she
I am
survived.
interested in yeah, yeah. And I mean she's a good wrestler. I think she lacks her character. Her character
Yeah, that's the big
lacks
thing.
like I don't even know what's the word I'm looking for. I think
Substance.
she's even talked about it too. Like she's trying to find like who like her character is, like who Meechin is. And it also didn't help like jumping from like, Meechin, and then she went back to Mia Yim, and then she went back to Meechin and stuff like that. I think she's like I think once she finds out like where her character's going, I don't know, maybe she has found where she's going with this in this new group with BFAB and Jade. And so yeah, I'm interested to hear the plot. I'm probably gonna listen tomorrow. Kind of curious to see more about her. If I'm not mistaken, she's married to Keith Lee too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and her sister's married to Biggie, so
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, and she's been around for a while. She's been down there since like
Yeah.
the
I was
NXT
about to
Black
say,
and
like,
Gold days.
when you
Yeah,
like she survived quite a bit. Like she's obviously has survived all the roster cuts. She's survived the god awful retribution. So like she's gone through
I
like
forgot she was
every
in
piece.
Retribution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like she's gone through like every piece of like bad creative and bad character. So the fact that she has stood through like all of that, like definitely shows like I think who she is as a wrestler. And like, yeah, like I know we jokingly talk about her and BFAB. BFAB's a different story there. But like I know we
BFAB,
specifically
yeah.
focus I know we specifically focus on them too. Is like with Michin is like I don't hate Michin. I really don't. Like I think she really is a good wrestler. But it's like what you just mentioned. I think it lacks character, it lacks substance, it lacks depth. Like I really don't know like who she is. As long as she's been with the company for so long, I don't know who you are. And I think that's an issue. Like I can't connect
Yeah.
with that. Like I can't like I can't just like relate to that. Like I like I don't know. It's just one of those things where
Like,
again, maybe I do
there
get
was
it.
also times where she seemed like, and this may be a work comparison, but like a female Sandman, like just constantly
Yeah,
walking
with
around
the
kendo stick, wanting to whack somebody with it and stuff like that. Like that's the way I kind of saw her, and like I don't think Sandman ever
yeah.
really had a character, so I don't know. Like I don't know. So, but shout out Michi,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah,
friend
shut
of the
her out.
pod.
She
Shout her out.
give her some flowers there. She'll now I gotta
Yeah,
listen to the pod now. Maybe that'll give her some substance.
yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
intrigued.
I
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it.
but yeah, I would
Yeah.
say I feel like that group has found its footing a little bit. Again, BFAB getting a win over Tiff. That's a different conversation. I might have to tune in just for that, but I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
BFAT might be the new number 1 contender for the United States title.
So
Here's how it goes. You
I mean,
pin the champion. You're
you
gonna
pin the champ. You deserve a belt, and then they could lead to like AJ, like I pinned her. You couldn't even fucking do that. So yeah, who knows? But yeah, this one here, hopefully.
Last thing on this spoiler from Friday, but I only found out about it because I was like going through Twitter, and there's an account that I follow. They're like in all caps, Tiffany got pinned by who? And I was like, oh,
I saw that.
I just had to see.
We saw the same tweet, and like it was like who? Yeah, we saw the same tweet.
And then I had to go through like the comments, and then it was funny. He was, I think, one time I don't know who an account responded to him, and I forgot what wrestler they put on there, and then they're like, he responded back like, "It's worse, bro." Like I don't know, it's funny, but
yeah. So that definitely will be must watch television there. And last off here, our main event, which I believe is being promoted here as the main event. We have a triple threat match between your undisputed champion Cody Rhodes versus Gunther versus Sami Zayn.
I don't think we gave our prediction on the women's. Did you say who you pick? We just like bantered on.
I said Tiffany. I think I would.
Okay,
I don't see a world with Jade. I don't see a world with Jade
me
wins.
too. I just want to be sure we're on the same page. Yeah, it's Tiffany. Okay. I was like,
yeah.
dude, we just turned on the group for a good 5 minutes and didn't even get the winner.
We just sat on the group and we're like, all right, that's it. Yeah. No, we shot on the group for a little bit and they were like, okay, they've actually done some good stuff, and then we went off on a banter on each end and was still talking shit about BFAT. But
we're like, oh, you did good, but yeah, Tiffany's still winning.
Yeah. Here's her participation trophy. Yeah, that one there, I would still have Tiffany, because I would think if there's going to be someone to beat her, it has to be Blake Monroe. I don't know who else can.
Yeah, I can see it.
Do it. Yeah,
I see it.
Save us, Blake Monroe. Save that women division. God knows it freaking needs it. Surprisingly, still
make it glamorous.
Make it glamorous. Which on another side tangent, I know she was on Tiffany Stratton's live stream. I think, I don't know if it was like real or confirmed, but supposedly the mirror's gone.
Oh, really?
Supposedly, that's what she said, but I don't know. We know how things change with them, but who the hell knows? But yeah, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully the mirror does come back. Now to head back to our main event. Again, we got Cody Rhodes versus Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Undisputed Championship. Do you need any catching up on that? Are you familiar with what's going on with good old Sammy, Gunther, and Cody?
Why is everybody hitting on my boy Sammy for? Come on now. All the people when he's talking about like when he's talking
my diehard fans.
It's me, man. It's me. It was funny when he first cut that promo. He's like, "What did I do wrong? What did they make me do to hate you?" I remember standing up. I was like, "Don't let them beat you up, Sammy." No, this one I am more caught up because I know they had Cody and Gunther had a match right on SmackDown for the title when Sammy was like the special guest, but he like interfered and beat up both of them. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. This one rough. Yeah, good for Sammy though.
I'm like, if there's anyone if there's anyone you gotta ask that question to, I gotta get Mrs. Moon to take my seat right now to answer the question as far as why she hates Sami Zayn. She would be the one to properly answer a question here. So I'm gonna cut to her right now. That's where she'll come in and and answer the question. But yeah, this one here, like it can. There's different ways you can go. It's very interesting. I was having some banter of it over on Instagram with some other folks here. Like this one here, it would not surprise me. I would pick Gunther winning this one. I think Sami Zayn is the wild card here, because obviously, kind of we're talking about with Roman, like who, again, minus from CM Punk, who's a guy that can beat Cody clean. There's a reason why Cody keeps winning with all these, asterisks next to his these wins here. It's because like I don't want to say want him to lose, but like want to protect him in a way where he's winning, but not winning cleanly. And I think a triple threat match is a perfect way to get the belt off of him, and have Sami Zayn be the one to either one, eat the pin, or two, get choked out by Gunther. And and then that can protect Cody, and that still propels to the Sami Zayn story where like he's in these big matches but can never get it done, and maybe does officially finally click to the official heel turn because he still really hasn't really officially turned heel. He still has like his baby face and heel moments, but there hasn't really been that full switch. And I think if you really want to shake up this brand, shake up the roster, freshen up something on SmackDown, as much as I love Cody, I do think he needs a little bit of a change. Like have him do something that's not so involved with the Undisputed Championship. Um, and I think Gunther is that perfect guy where he could just take the belt, have a natural baby face go after him for a couple of months and have him, win those matches in the hell. Maybe you get back Punk in the fold. Maybe Punk beats him again. And then that sets up your Royal Rumble. And there's your main event for WrestleMania if you want to propel it that long. Like I think that's where your story can go if this was to be the outcome. But yeah, this one here, I'm gonna go a little bit on a limb here and go Gunther coming out victorious, and maybe that leads to your, I know you picked Jey Uso being your Night of King of the Ring here. Maybe that sets up SummerSlam again. Whatever, like what is it, like round 4, round 3, because they had the IC title battles and they obviously had the World Heavyweight title battles. Whatever rounds that would have been, like you run that back at SummerSlam. But yeah, this one here, I'm gonna go on a limb here, and I'm gonna go the ring general Gunther coming out victorious and becoming your new undisputed WWE champion.
Yeah, I think if Boba does come out victorious in the King, I can see how that would probably make the most sense to have Gunther winning. In that scenario, for all the reasons that you said, everything you said just makes sense. Like not debating that, but I think if Jay does win the King of the Ring, and Jay does decide to go for the WWE title, which I'm 99.9% sure that will happen, that he will go after that if he wins. I think he's going after Cody. So I think Cody would retain at this point. I mean, what would you with Gunther and Sammy? I have no freaking idea. Like, I honestly have no clue. That's kind of the thing that sucks is like when somebody like moves over, like Gunther, when he comes from Raw to SmackDown, just immediately gets plugged into the main title picture. It's kind of like, all right, what do you do? Like once you lose, like who are you going to get into a feud with? I'm not going to feud with Sam because we've already done that, 2 years ago with the WrestleMania IC title reign. So I think that's kind of like, and I mean, and Jay and obviously Cody have history. They were tag team champions at one point. There's always been like, I think Cody's always kind of been like the one, like also like in the back of Jay's head, like, you don't come in for this, blah, blah, blah. Like he could be that guy again where they can banter on each other. And, obviously we always know where Jay doesn't like when you talk about his family, but what's going to trigger him? Cody can obviously just bring up, all the past stuff or the stuff that they're doing again with Bloodline with Roman and Jimmy and now Jacob. Like you can really like, I can already see him like, hey, you're doing this again, blah, blah, blah. And like Jake can be like, hey, you know how it goes. And kind of like the same thing LA Knight's kind of going, but in a different person, different brand, stuff like that. So I can see that. And would I see Jay winning? Probably no, but I guess if that is the case, I guess kind of see how the storyline goes.
If Jay was to win, the internet would fucking implode. That would be absolutely insane.
I mean, but can you imagine though, like having like, I don't want to, I guess you could say the two main like bloodline persons having.
I could see it. It would not surprise me. The way you're speaking and the way the pronouns that you brought up, it would not surprise me one bit.
And I mean, and you got that between August. I mean, you can probably run this course all the way to War Games if you want to really go that route. Have your two main champions in there. Like, I don't know. Like, you can make the case of like, the bloodline coming back again. There's also another spoiler from SmackDown that I won't get into, but has to do with the bloodline member. And yeah, kind of interesting how they're going with this or where they're going to go with it. But yeah, that's another story for another day. Probably next week once we see it happen live air on this Friday night on the USA Network or Netflix if you use VPN or if you're overseas. Yeah, so but back to the question, Cody retaining and possibly going one-on-one with Jey Uso at SummerSlam. Who
Yeah,
knows?
again, if there's one I hope you're wrong on, I hope it's this one. I feel like,
Yeah, I don't know,
correct
man.
me if I'm wrong. If this is this like the PLE? I think we're I think the most different on,
Probably. Usually we're
even though it's
pretty
only two.
close, or it's like,
Even though it's only like two matches. I feel like it's always it's like different ways. Like if one goes the one way, like
yeah,
it goes on different crossroads or goes to different
it
roads and
is only
different
two
paths.
matches, but
I feel
the
like
way we
there's
our
implications.
reasonings for yeah
There's implication
yeah
with each of those where it can go either route, and I don't. It would not surprise me if it goes your route or the routes here that you predicted. So, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. Don't know again if we'll be watching this live. I may be at a card show during this event.
yeah. I don't know
So,
either. I got some these early PLEs, man, they kill me. I got stuff to do during the day, but
yeah,
yeah, it's not if it's not a live watch, maybe we can do a little rewatch later.
yeah.
We could probably talk about that later on, but yeah.
Yeah, I would not hate that one bit. I don't think we're well, obviously we'll talk about that off pod, but yeah, no, I wouldn't hate that one bit. But yeah, guys, that is our Night of Champions talk. Let us know in the comments, or feel free to message us over on our social medias. Who you think is coming out victorious? Are you excited for Night of Champions? Again, sign in the comments down below, or feel free to message us here over on our social medias, linked down in the description down below. But like we mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, we did have some hobby sales going through. Typically, we're not a big reactionary sales podcast. I've talked about that in the past, just because some of these sales that we're gonna not some all the sales that we're talking about here are obviously cards that if we were had a lot of money, maybe we were buying, but obviously we're average Joes. We buy what we can afford. And we use the hobby to fund the hobby. So these are typically sales that really statistically don't fit into our budgets, give or take. So that's why we really don't talk about some of these sales and some of the bigger sales that we see on the internet. But I feel like these sales have had a lot of discourse, have had a lot of communication online. I made a video about it online, which raised I would think a friendly conversation over in the comment section, I would think. But the sales I'm referring to is the Topps Royalty 2025 Topps Royalty WrestleMania sales. Now we've had 4 public sales. These are all courtesy coming of Card Ladder. If I'm not mistaken, I know there have been some private sales. If I'm not mistaken, I do not know those amounts. I usually just like to record or talk about things that's on the record and what's been confirmed by sources and or by applications like Card Ladder. So as far as right now, we're recording this here on June 24th. Again, you're probably listening to this episode on Friday. We've had, again, 4 recorded sales. The highest recorded sale right now being Randy Orton. That's selling for a little bit over $42,000. That was the first patch that we saw sell-wise off the board. Next up here, we had Tiffany Stratton, which sold over on eBay at best offer for $22,000. And then these next few patches here did sell via Fanatics auction, which Jay Uso selling for $18,600, and Ray Phoenix selling for $6,300. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring up specifically these sales, and we can obviously talk about Cosmic here if it naturally fits here. I know there's obviously been some discourse about some of the Planetary Pursuit sales, but these patches, it seemed like, from what we were seeing online, hearing people talk about these patches, that these would have sold for high amounts of money. And while these still are, it seems like the discourse and the communication that's been made online that these have been selling vastly below what was projected. Now, again, those are just projections. What I brought up in the video and what I talked about is that I feel like these sales, while you can make the argument for Tiffany, maybe selling a little bit lower, or make the argument and talk about it, being thrown on eBay, which was originally listed for 40,000 and then taking a best offer for 22. That's a different conversation. But in my opinion, I feel like these are very healthy sales, and there's a couple of things to talk about for that. One is that we haven't really seen these types of sales hit the wrestling card market before. We had some outliers. We had the Rock Prism, the 101 Black Prism that sold for $126,000. That's the highest recorded sale. There's a couple of Hogan rookie cards also thrown in that mix. But I mean, $42,000 for Randy Orton, Tiffany Stratton $22,000, Jey Uso over 18, and Ray Phoenix 63. that is still a lot of money, and that is still a lot of sales that we typically don't see in the market traditionally. We've been seeing a lot more this year, but if you date back to like 2024, or you want to date back further to when Panini had gained the license, like these weren't sales and numbers that the wrestling card market wasn't even touching. So that's the first thing. The second thing why I say that is, like, you could put a number on these cards, but if you put a number on it and if you have the capital, then you should have bought the card at that price. And I specifically say that focusing on Tiffany Stratton, because there was a lot of discourse like, oh, Tiffany sold too low at 22,000. Like, why did they do that? Like 22,000 to me is life-changing money. Granted, the seller didn't get a full 22,000. That obviously eBay fees, shipping, obviously that comes into play. So maybe roughly, I don't know what those fees would have looked like, give or take 20,000, maybe. I don't know. But $20,000 is a lot of money to me. And like that would be considered life-changing money to me. Maybe not to somebody else, but to me that is. And to me, what I've always say is, like, people always say, oh, comps this, comps that. Look at comps compared to flawless. A comp is just what somebody's willing to pay for the card. If you thought the card was worth more than $22,000, you would have sent that guy or girl an offer for more than $20,000 or $22,000. Jay Uso was available via an auction house. Same thing with Ray Phoenix. If you thought those cards were worth more, the opportunity was all there to bid those cards higher than what they sold for. So my argument is, I don't think these cards sold for too low. I think they sold for what people think they're worth. And what are we to say what a card's worth? A card's worth what somebody's willing to pay for that card. So that's my argument with Topps Royalty and these sales. I think these are very healthy sales. I'm happy to see these sales. I think it's good for the wrestling card market. I think it obviously opens up these discussions. And I feel like, obviously the bigger outlier is the John Cena. What that goes for, I don't know anymore. I've been on the record saying I think that card touches 100K, a little bit beyond that. I've been on record on that. Does that happen? I don't know. But I don't know if you have any discourse there specifically on these WrestleMania patches. So I know we kind of, briefly touched Cosmic there a little bit, specifically focusing on the planets. But yeah, I feel like these are very healthy sales, and the argument online and the discourse online saying that this is trashing the hobby, trashing the wrestling card market, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah, man, I think you pretty much hit everything spot on. I mean, I think when it comes to like the first side of this stuff, I don't dig too much to that. Like, that's not really my strong point. I kind of just, browse, card ladder, see what cards go for, and kind of go from there. I don't like to project things because that's really not my strong point. I leave that to professionals. But I think the two main things I think were that can, I don't want to say cause the issue or cause like this whole uproar. I think it's one, the Randy Orton sale, since that was the first sale that hit. If I do remember correctly, and correct me again if I'm wrong, but before the auction hit, it was hovering around like 20,000, like 2,000,
Yeah.
somewhere around that point. And then right at the last minute, we got this large bid that came out of nowhere that practically doubled the value of the card. So I think people saw that, automatically went, okay, Randy Orton is this figure in WWE. He's, been like, I think in WWE at this point for like 20 plus years already. He's a multi-time world champion, stuff like that. A fan favorite, stuff like that. And so they immediately attached that 40K price tag to it. Like, it's like, okay, now we're going to see, or we're going to attach these prices to this and this. And I mean, we're guilty of it as well. Like, as soon as that sale happened, we came on here probably the week after or a couple of days later and started predicting the John Cena, which, we said was probably going to, if not become one of the most expensive trading card to be seen. And I think that's also another thing that's causing uproar, is I have no idea if it's been pulled or not. I'm sure if it was pulled, I'm pretty sure somebody would have posted an image, would have surfaced or something like that, but no. So it could still be hiding in a box somewhere. And the fact that it hasn't sold, like, I think that's another thing too. I think that's the card everybody's chasing. Obviously, that's probably that's John Cena's last active WrestleMania patch. So that's a big deal. And I'm sure, I know people want it. There's just plenty of bounties on it. I don't think those bounties have gone away. So I think that's also the issue. So people are struggling to find or finding it hard to compare. Like, all right, Randy sold for 40. We think John should do this. But like, where is everybody else going to fall? Are they going to fall in between those two? Are they going to fall below Orton? And I think that's what caused the uproar for Tiffany is like people thought Tiffany should have gone for more than what she sold for. But again, like you said, if you thought it was worth more, or if you thought it was a steal at 40K, why not buy it at 40K? Or why not offer 30K, 35K? Like if you thought that was a good deal. I think it's easier to come on here and say like 20K was too low and stuff like that. So I think for that reason too. And the same thing for Jay and Ray. Like I know people were I think more specifically the Jay one, I saw there a little bit more of an uproar on that one too, saying that it sold for way too little. And also Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix only sold for like 6K. But I mean, you don't really hear many people talk about Ray Phoenix. Like honestly, like you don't. Like we know who he is. But you don't. Like you just we don't hear about him. Like if you could even go into like breaks and like you could buy his spot for like $10, like it's just not. It's unfortunate, but he's not a popular name currently as we sit. Like obviously, like me and you know him, and and if you really want to like dig deeper, like if you like watched AEW or if you watch AAA and stuff like that, like you obviously know who Ray Phoenix is and how he's one of the, if not better, luchadors currently on the roster. He is your current AAA Cruiserweight champion, and if I'm not mistaken, Rey Mysterio said he's going to be defending the belt all over the WWE, whether it be NXT, Raw, SmackDown, AAA. So that is going to get more eyes on him.
Yeah,
if I'm not
he's
mistaken, I think
SmackDown too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the spoilers for this Friday too. He is defending it this Friday, so maybe the patch was sold too early. But I mean, who's that for us to say when to sell stuff like that? So, I mean, so it's kind of hard to say again. It's hard for me to sit here like, oh, that's sold for way too low, when I'm not even going to offer any close to what that because it's just unreasonable. But I think for somebody who probably maybe has more capital or more leeway to kind of say like it sold for too little, it's kind of weird. Like I said, I think if you thought it was too low, like just go buy it and maybe try to sell it for more, hold on to it and stuff like that. I know one of the topics too, I think was also, I see a lot of banter about like specifically Jay and Phoenix that they felt like it shouldn't have been sold on Fanatics Collect. I know you put out, I think even like, I think if you had videos or some tweets about it, you put out these cards should be at an auction house. Like, how did you feel like to see those cards on Fanatics Connect and then it not go for any more than what it did, and then see people complain that it was on there? Like, you think it would have done better on eBay or Golden?
Yeah, I think for sure 100%. I think it would have done better on Golden. I think I'm not familiar with who pulled the Jey Uso card. I don't know the name, but from what I read and from what I heard online, is that the seller of the card was a little bit upset. Don't quote me on that, but from what I heard, they were upset because they supposedly had a higher offer than 18K, but they thought it would have gone higher on an auction house, that being Fanatics Collect. Obviously going for 18.6. So what I talked about, and I talked about this with the raw patches, and I did I jumbled it all into one video. Like I did talk about that because obviously, like if you're new or like even if you're a seasoned collector, like if you buy a Jey Uso spot for $30 or whatever, like that is I specifically focusing on Jay. Ray Phoenix is a different outlier, but like Jay, like that was his first world heavyweight title win. Opening up WrestleMania. Like that was the first time that he became champion as far as a world heavyweight champion. So there's a big moment and significance behind that card. You can make it the argument to Ray Phoenix like that being his first Mania, but he wasn't even supposed to be on that card.
It was a wild card.
It was supposed to be Penta, if I'm not mistaken.
It's supposed to be Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio. Yeah, supposed to be Rey. Yes, there you go, Rey Mysterio. And then they just threw Phoenix in there. So I talked about that with the SmackDown patches, the Raw debut patches, and now the Mania. Like that is a lifetime card itself. Like it's a card that we've never seen hit the market. We've never seen anything like this before. These cards are going to benefit if you go to an auction house like Golden. I don't know what Golden's fees look like or things like that, but there's a damn reason why this dude has a show on Netflix. Like there's a reason why he's called the king of collectibles and why that group is the king of collectibles. And like not even talking about like on the show, like the amount of marketing that those guys do, like for any sort of
Yeah.
collectible. Like they go absolutely insane with the marketing, and that's what he talked about. Kind of going off a little bit of tangent. Like that was his whole discourse with the Paul Skeens patch. It's like obviously Fanatics have these
Which
ties and
sold on
knowing,
Fanatics Collect, right? It is all
yeah,
Fanatics, right?
it did
Funny
sell on
enough.
Fanatics
Yeah.
Collect. Yeah, funny
Yeah.
enough. So like to me, I don't know if it's shady business. I don't know if shady is the right word. But it definitely raises some eyebrows when Fanatics has their hands on every license, every sport, every trading card that you could think of, and those big cards like that are going to auction houses. Cause like I've never seen Fanatics, while they do a good job of promoting like their ripping products, like their actual trading card product. I haven't seen one post about them promoting any card on an auction house. I have to
I
see
didn't
other
even know.
people.
I didn't even know. Those. Yeah, like I said, I didn't know those cards were for sale, and I only found out about them being sold on that platform when they were sold because everybody was posting about it
Yeah.
on Instagram.
And like
And I was like, oh, damn.
another good example right now over on Fanatics Collect is I don't know if you've seen the card. I'm pretty sure you have. It's the Triple H Cerebral Assassins, the finest masters, the one with
Oh,
all the crazy
with the
inscription.
inscription.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's on Fanatics Collect right now. And like I haven't even
Bidding for
seen a
that card.
post.
Do you know what the bidding's at on
What
that one right now?
I think it's
Do
at
you know what the
10,000,
bidding
right?
is? Oh shit.
I think it's at 10,000 right now. But yeah, like I didn't even know like that card was on auction. I had to see the guy that pulled the card, Heel Club Collectibles. He had to
Yeah.
post about it, and then I had to see other people talk about it. Like that just shows me like I again don't know if it's shady business, but like if you're gonna have an auction house, you need to be able to promote these cards and letting people know the significance of these cards. And I feel like they didn't do that. Um, so like I do think it shouldn't have gone on eBay. Even the Tiffany one, I didn't agree with it going on eBay. I think these cards heavily benefit going on a wider appeal, that being an auction house. And it can lead to people, bigger whales like investors. Like I know I think we talked about it maybe the last pod, or I know we've kind of talked about it like in person, like having like what's his name, Mr. O'Leary from Shark Tank, like he's involved in collectible. Like why can't that group be like, hey, like there's an untapped market with wrestling cards, like let's get in on that. So like, and I know that the example I always brought up was the Soruka card, when that got pulled over on a platform to not be named. Like that card would have done so much better on an auction house, but they got pressurized into buying it for a full case of Breakers of Light and like 10K. So like I think that card right now, especially her being the women's Intercontinental champion, would have done a little bit better on a Ken Golden auction house. But yeah, I do think those cards would have done a little bit better, and I don't think right now the Fanatics Collect platform is really built for higher cards like this. And I think it would have done better. Hell, maybe that's a question I could ask Heel Club. I do talk to him from time to time. Maybe that's a question I can ask him. Like, hey, like, is there a reason why you went with a Fanatics Collect and not Golden, or whatever? I don't know how that works.
Or even eBay. Yeah. I wonder.
Or
I do think the one thing that eBay suffers is they don't have the extended time bidding.
yeah, that's what hurts them the
And I
most.
think I know there was rumblings that they were gonna introduce it, but I haven't seen it. So I think that's what hurts it the most is those. I mean, that's how that last minute bid got in for the Randy patch. Like that's what jumped it up. So which about it, I forgot the last minute bidder was, or the one prior to that was Karl Anthony Towns. He could
Oh,
suck
like
it.
shout out NBA, shout out
Yeah.
NBA champ Karl Anthony Towns. I know that
This is
was
gonna be my
gonna.
last pod. I'm out.
I know Bro Bill's gonna hate hearing that here. I'm gonna take a quick look here at the Triple H here. Give me 1 second. And last time I checked, it was at 10,000. Let me see here.
And I would also assume like Ken Golden would also like more wrestling products. I mean, he's friends with Logan Paul, so I wouldn't see why he wouldn't want to
Yeah, and
expand
like
his wrestling knowledge. So yeah, I
yeah,
would
that's
be
all
curious
like
to see like what exactly Fanatics offers. Maybe they offer less seller fees or something. Like there's got to be something
Oh damn,
to
I was wrong.
have that.
It's not even at 10,000. It's at 7,750.
Ooh, even less. Okay.
Well, 9,300 including buyer's premium. 16 bids. Extended
How
bidding
much time
starts
is
in
left on it?
3 days and 21 hours.
3 days. What's that? Saturday
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, something like that.
or Sunday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be an interesting one to keep an eye on for the weekend.
Yeah.
See where that gets up to.
Yeah. So I was like, man, like I saw that, like that's like the second, third, obviously another third biggest card in a couple of weeks or so that's been over there. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes. I know he's been again, Heel Club has been promoting about it. So I don't know. Maybe that's a question. I'll shoot him a message and be like, hey, like, is there a reason why you did that? I know he has his own
Yeah.
pod too. I know he does a pod every now and then. So I don't know. Maybe
All
that's a question I'll
right.
ask him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm curious not to.
yeah. So hopefully, yeah, he should answer my question. I want to see. I want to see why not. But yeah, that's been our pod here. A little bit of hobby talk, talking some sales that traditionally we don't talk about here. But again, I think it's a little bit of an important discourse here to have. Especially, I know there's been a lot of the rumblings over on the internet, especially specifically on Instagram that I've been seeing a lot of people talk about. There was our Night of Champions prediction. Felt good to be back on the pod. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. But before I officially wrap everything up here on my end, Bropio, any final thoughts here for the good old listeners of Collecting the 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, no, I don't got much other than to keep track of the socials. We have a lot of non WWE breaks, probably, or not like box breaks, gonna hit the TikTok account. Yeah, because I think also too, like, also just being like taking a step back, just in general. Like, again, we talked about like Disney and stuff like that. Like, I've been ripping a lot of Disney Chrome. Ran into some V stock randomly. Was not too familiar with V Friends. I knew who Gary V is, what he does and stuff like that, but wasn't too familiar. And I thought, funny enough, they were in a V Friends cartoon on the bus. We got a shuttle bus to take us to Disney, and funny enough, that cartoon was on the TV. So I think it's kind of funny. So restock, bought a box. So yeah, a lot of non WWE rips. They're gonna be hitting the TikTok account. Just keep on that. Check out the eBay page. I gotta throw up a sale. I think my sale ended, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But yeah, it's fun. Gotta get through some stuff. But yeah, other than that, I don't got much, man. It did feel good to be back. It was too long of a break.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a lengthy one. I think our longest break has been like what, a week and a half, give or
Probably
take.
like a
So
week and a half. Yeah, never 3 weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
give or take. Yeah, never nothing this long. But yeah, some final thoughts here on my end. You kind of took some of the final thoughts here. Doing a lot of pop culture theme stuff right now. There's a lot of just like pop culture stuff that I've been doing. So if that does interest you, I talked about it in the video that I made when I was like where I was at. Like obviously we do have other interests that go beyond wrestling, and like as much as we just like we just talked about, like love talking wrestling, just love coming on the pod. We do have other interests outside of wrestling, and when it hits the cards or like hits a different form of cards, if that's like a TCG, I know obviously we've been talking a little bit more on the side here, or I've been posting about it too, a little bit more like Disney Lorcana. Like if there's like any like natural conversation that could be had with that card or like with the series of cards, like we're gonna do that. I mentioned in the video like a good way that I would like to explain it is like hobby nonsense. Hobby nonsense like discusses everything in like one pod. Like they'll talk about Pokemon, they'll talk about Chrome, Disney Chrome, they'll talk about wrestling, they'll then talk about Disney Lorcana now. They'll talk about V Friends. So like that's like a natural conversation they just have. So like maybe at the end we just give like 20 minutes of like random discourse of what we're talking about. And obviously we have videos here that are coming out showing of what we're ripping or what we're buying. Like I have a mega box Chrome sitting right here. You picked me up a V Friends blaster. So I gotta rip those, make videos and get those uploaded. So yeah, we obviously have different interests again outside of wrestling. And again, if it hits the collectible space or card collecting space specifically, like we're gonna make videos about it and we're gonna talk about it. So if that interests you, if you enjoy that, again, please feel free to follow. If you don't give a shit about that and just like the wrestling, again, still hit the follow button because we're not going anywhere. We're still gonna talk about wrestling as much as the product can be lackluster or can be boring or it can be predictable, whatever. Like we're still here. We're still gonna come on the pod. Obviously, yes, we took a break, but that was for different reasons. It wasn't anything like lack of product or it's like lack of not liking anything. So that was just
Yeah.
where we're at right
Funny
now.
enough, too, I think if you really go back into like our the podcasting, we first started off as baseball, and then we got to like a certain point of an episode where we wanted to talk about different stuff. We wanted to talk about pop, which stuff we want to talk about wrestling cards and Star Wars and Disney and stuff like that. And then we had the discussion like, well, we don't want people coming into a baseball pod and then starting to hear about like wrestling or vice versa. So we eventually branched out, and this is how we came about this. And we decided to do both of them, but then the Red Sox took a drastic turn.
Yeah, the Red Sox fucking suck.
Yeah, so then it just became strictly just wrestling, and that we've been going at this, I think, for about a year now, or a little bit more than a year. I don't know. Maybe if we do get a little bit more traction on this pop culture stuff, because this is a whole nother, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, yeah, like we got Disney, Marvel, V Friends, you got TCGs, stuff like that. Star Wars, there's One Piece, like there's everything. So it could even get to the point to where if people do like it or if you're interested in it, we can even just do maybe like 25-minute, 30 separate bonus pod maybe, and just strictly talk about that and see how it does.
Yeah,
that way we can keep it the same to keep it away for like if you want to hear strictly wrestling and all our crazy fantasy bookings and card talk, like that way you don't come on here worried about, I don't want to hear about V Friends or whatever. Like if you want to hear
about a fucking Pikachu cards for fucking Pikachu cards for this amount.
Or I don't want to hear freaking Bropio's Star Wars hot takes and stuff like that. I mean,
give Bropio a couple of beers and you'll hear a rant about episode 3.
Oh God, I could probably quote you the whole episode 3 battle scene. But yeah, I don't know. So that's something to think about. But yeah, absolutely
definitely.
There's so many stuff out there, and so
no, there's so much stuff coming in and out. I think it's something that we can definitely talk about more and probably intrigue a little bit more. I know I've gotten some positive reactions to it on my platforms as far as the people who've been like enjoying a little bit of the side riffs that we've been doing. Because even take it back even further, like if you scroll all the way down to my TikTok, my first ever video that I posted was me finding the starter decks at Barnes and Noble. And then like if you go all the way down to my for Lorcana, and then if you go down to my Instagram, like the first couple of pages is when we bought Rise of the Floodborn and then Into the Inklings. Like I think people are like, oh, like you're just coming in because of Buzz Lightyear cards selling for over 10K. Like if you go back down again to the deep lore of it, like it's always been there. It's been sprinkled in. It's just where obviously wrestling kind of just overtook it a little bit. Like you mentioned there, we started doing the baseball stuff that went where it went. Red Sox fucking suck. I absolutely just hate watching them and talking about them. So like even me mentioning them right now is pissing me off. So and then we obviously got controlled over the wrestling stuff, tops, all that kind of good stuff. And now there's just like so much like pop culture stuff. And like, we can even like talk about like movies, shit like that. Obviously, I've been flaunting it at our household. I've been talking about being an AMC member. I have a Letterboxd account. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, guys, you can follow me over at Mood3PO. I have all my movie ratings there.
Dude gets a freaking $20 AMC subscription, thinks he's a damn movie critic, man.
They're not called movies. They're called. I always talk about this.
Oh, they're films. They're a film critic now.
They're called films. They're not called movies. They're called films. Just rated the Truman Show 5 stars on them. So go check me out on Letterboxd. Just rated Hoppers on there. So I'm like, me and Mrs. Moon, we're doing back-to-back showings every day. We're going there, getting my large popcorn. She makes me my slushie. Nobody makes a better slushie than Mrs. Moon. So that's even though the slushie machine has been down fucking twice.
I'm saying
so it was working, but the sign was off, but the machine had the red light the third time we went. So I've been pissed off with AMC. I'm like, hey, these $24 I'm giving you monthly, like, you gotta take that to the fucking slushie machine.
Fix this damn slushy machine, man. Come on now.
They got to at this point. They've been pissing me off. The pretzels are good though. The food and the popcorn has been phenomenal. The cheese sticks out of this world. 10 out of 10. If I could rate that on Letterboxd, I definitely would. But yeah, some pretty good cheese sticks. But yeah, that is it. That will probably be something we'll obviously talk about on pod. And hell, who knows? Maybe we'll be back here next week with the pop culture pod. We'll see where it goes. We'll obviously talk about a little bit more. But yeah, guys, again, that is our episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, make sure you are liking, subscribing if you're watching on YouTube. We do have a video format of this episode. If you guys are just listening to the audio formats, make sure you go check us out over on Spotify and Apple. Leave a rating, follow the episode, subscribe so you are notified when we do upload an episode, if it's collecting the 1, 2, 3, or potentially our future pop culture podcast. Who knows? Again, make sure you are following for all that. Again, thank you guys for all the support. I really, really do appreciate it. And we will see y'all in the next one.